January 27th. It is now 6:18 a.m. How are you doing? So a couple months ago, I have a few qualms. The name of the video. Uh, you know, I, the beginning of that 3-part series was talking about, you know, if I was living in anger and things like that. And you know, for the most part, we could determine that I do not live in anger. But recently, and when I say recently, I mean like yesterday, I determined that I am very resentful. It's not to my family members. It's actually to the men I deal with. And so we're gonna talk about it because you know I know that resentment can really ruin a relationship or the track on which it is on. But I do not. I think once you reach the point of resentment, that it may be very difficult to change your perspective or repair the situation. So I want to I want to tell you what resentment is, in case you do not know. Um, and you know, when I make these videos, they are for myself. You know, I watch these and I process what I'm trying to say to you, and that is one of my healing techniques. Okay, so resentment is bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. Okay. Um, I realize um, that for the majority of people that I've dealt with, that I had expectations for a relationship with, that I was actually carrying resentment the minute I walked into the situation, you know. So as I'm processing this and realizing what has been transpiring here, um, you know, I'm not completely in the wrong. Uh, you know, I'm not completely in the wrong in each individual situation, because each situation is different. Um, However, for some, like the ones that weren't narcissistic but maybe just had like attachment issues and stuff, for them, it maybe if I didn't have this resentment, um, I would have, I maybe would have been more successful. But it's not I mean, the problems aren't 100% on me, because I do believe that I had, you know, a level of patience and toleration despite my, uh, despite the resentment that I had. And we may expand on that further with better examples so you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so um, what does it mean to resent someone? Resentment describes a negative emotional reaction to being mistreated. There is no one cause of resentment, but most causes involve an underlying sense of being mistreated or wronged by another person. Experiencing frustration and disappointment is a normal part of life. Um, what emotion is behind resentment? Um, Resentment, also called ranklement, never heard that, or bitterness, is a complex, multi-layered emotion that has been described as a mixture of disappointment, disgust, and anger. Other psychologists consider it a mood or as a secondary emotion that can be elicited in the face of insult or injury. I like that one. Um, what is the root cause of resentment? Now, I know the other one, what is the emotion behind it, but we're going to just to make sure we have a couple bases here. Resentment in a relationship can stem from a variety of causes, including neglect, lack of support, lack of intimacy, unresolved conflicts, lack of trust, control issues, among others. Okay, so I am going to give you I wasn't gonna ask, I was gonna, this explains a lot though. Um, this explains a lot. It's funny because I don't even really study resentment because most of the time I'm not resentful. Um, and I am understanding. Um, so this is something completely new to me, but realizing that I feel it is very important. It's good. I recognize it. But it says, resentment and anger in love relationships are unlike the variations of those emotions in other social contexts. Many people are resentful or angry only in love. you know. So only those we love can remind us that we may be unlovable or inadequate as love partners. That's a very interesting statement, but I do believe that you could still like resent your family members or something. Um so resentment is the opposite of forgiveness and acceptance, right? Um what I have found is that it has been hard for me to accept facts in regards to some of the relationships that I'm dealing with, um, or have dealt with, because it's not like I'm dealing with a whole lot of people or anything. Um, but there were some comments that were made this week uh, by myself, and some realizations that I had this week um, that put me on track to recognize, okay, you're feeling resentment. So let's look at the signs of resentment. Okay, and it's interesting because resentment sounds a lot like a trigger. And just last night, before I went to bed, I talked about triggers. And right before I went to bed, so I made this video, the video about triggering last night. And then right before I went to bed is when I determined that I maybe be feeling resentment. So the way it's described, resentment describes a negative emotional reaction to being mistreated. Sounds very much like a trigger. um, so when the feelings become too overwhelming, they can contribute to resentment. And when this happens, trust and love and relationship are broken and sometimes never repaired. Um, Resentment is commonly triggered by relationship with people who insist on being right all the time, being taken advantage of by another, feeling put down, unrealistic expectations of others. This phone, I gotta update, and it just doesn't work right. Not being heard, and interactions with people who are always late. Isn't that funny? Earlier this year, when I did my first reading of the year, I mentioned that, but I don't know why that was important. Interactions with people who are always late. Um, Resentment leads to the inability to let go or forgive, at least temporarily. Several signs, however, can indicate that you or someone you know might be on the path towards experiencing overwhelming resentment. Um, re- Recurring negative feelings, such as anger, frustration, hostility, bitterness, and hard feelings, and uneasiness. The inability to stop thinking about an event. So sometimes resentment leads to an inability to stop thinking about the event that caused an intense emotion. Recurring negative thoughts may take over and linger for long periods of time, sometimes even years. For some people, resentment may cause feelings of disappointment or remorse. And when a person thinks back to a stressful event, they may respond to regret and remorse with self blame and wishing they had acted differently. When you feel resentful, certain people or situations may trigger unwanted memories or of wrongdoing, and this may cause you to avoid situations or people who bring up these negative emotions. People will often do this to protect themselves and their own well-being. Um, Resentment can bring about changes in your relationship. Some people deal with resentment by holding grudges and acting out passive aggressively. And for others, resentment can lead to any relationships where the wrongdoing took place, which is fine, you know. Um, Engaging with people or places that remind you of past mistreatment may make you feel invisible or inadequate. When this happens, old feelings of anger and bitterness may begin to reappear and grow stronger. If you've been hurt by someone and start to notice any of these things, it could be a sign that you're beginning to experience resentment. In some instances, resentment may make it hard for you to let go of anger, and you might even experience a strong desire for revenge. Now, um, in recent months, we also talked about, you know, revenge as a quality is one of the traits of narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, so or it's in general just narcissistic personality traits. Because again, I think all of us have. I don't think it's the truth. All of us have narcissistic tendencies. So you know that could be one for you. Holding on to such a high level of negativity takes a toll on your mental health, and recognizing the signs, taking preventative action, and getting treatment can help. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to this one. And by the way, this is on WebMD. You know, I like to at least tell you where it's at. I said at some point I was gonna put all my stuff in the box, but signs of resentment at webmd.com. You can Google it and then you'll find out that I said it said that. Okay, so let's move on really quick before we come back a couple times. We're gonna come back to a couple different things. But I just want to make sure that I hit all of the bases, and I got another article up. 11 causes of resentment in relationship, and we just want to make sure that um, so just again, I'm going to read it again, but just because I'm reading from a different website now, this is onlinecounselingexperts.com. And they said define resentment. First, it's important to define what resentment in a relationship means. Resentment is an emotional response to perceived injustice, and in a relationship, it can arise when one partner feels wronged or undervalued. Resentment can cause a partner to become distant, uncommunicative, or passive aggressive. Feeling neglected or unappreciated is a common trigger of resentment in a relationship. Lack of communication and understanding, okay? Not feeling supported by your partner are a key cause in resentment in a relationship, lack of intimacy in a relationship, feeling taken for granted in a relationship, unresolved conflicts leading to resentment in a relationship. Um, when conflicts are not resolved, they can fester and lead to feelings of resentment towards the partner. Unfair blame game in a relationship, trust issues. Okay, resentment can stem from a lack of trust in the relationship. When one partner feels like they cannot trust their partner, it can lead to feelings of resentment. Control and manipulation. Um, when one partner feels like they're being controlled or manipulated. Setting boundaries in a relationship to avoid resentment. Okay, resentment can stem from a lack of boundaries in the relationship when one partner feels like their boundaries are being crossed, and it can lead to feelings of resentment towards their partner. Now, um, the reason that I would obviously feel this way, right? So, to explain further why I would feel this way um, is because I have never been in a relationship, like a real one, right? Um, and so I carry that resentment already from other people. It doesn't really, in fact, it probably stems from just the very first instance of when my reputation was tarnished. You know, that happened when I was 14 years old, but there there has been so much gossip about myself that it has ruined uh, my ability to create lasting relationships, and I'm um, constantly treated undervalued, and like you'd be like, okay, um I mean, every single person I've ever dated is from Ohio, from the Columbus area, or knows people. Like, everybody knows everybody. It's not that big of a city. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, there's one of those things where it's like, well, who are you choosing? And blah, blah, blah. I'm choosing people that are actually really decent. But when you take a step back and you realize they're a lot of them are running off of rumors and running off of what the last person said and things like that, it makes it affects your worth to others, you know. um One of the man of the hour is like the only person really that I dated that was outside, like genuinely dated. We didn't date really, but you know what I mean. Seeing each other, whatever, getting to know each other. He's the only person out of the state. Aaron's dad was out of state, but it's very clear that he knows someone. He knows. You know what I'm saying? So when you have like an entire city um, talking about you and what you do sexually, and it, you know, I I eventually started coming into different scenarios where I might act cool at first, but then as these little things are getting triggered, um, being taken advantage of by another, feeling put down, um, not being heard, you know, interactions with people who are always late. That's so funny that it's on there because I have mentioned like getting stood up or having people waste my time, but the reason they're doing stuff like this is because they already have a perspective of who I am and what I deserve, and so they think I deserve this. So therefore, you know, I am experiencing resentment in relationships. Um, and so, as soon as, I'm bringing this in from other people, unfortunately, kind of punishing the new dude or whatever, but not necessarily because they're doing specific actions that are triggering it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's it would be a different thing if like I never had any of these issues before. Um, like, wow, you're the first guy that's ignored me. I would probably handle it differently. You know what I'm saying? Wow, you're the first person to test drive me for months and keep telling me to hold on, like years. Um, if you were the first person, I don't think I'd behave that way, but you're not. So now, the resentment from the last time this happened is now added to the resentment I have for you for treating me the same way, for undervaluing me, for not communicating with me, um, for taking advantage of me. Um, Definitely not feeling supported. For some of you who decide that you want to have a lack of intimacy with me, for those of you who do not trust me, and I don't trust you, we don't trust each other. you know, for you trying to control me, because you're always trying to control me. You think that I need this to be done so that I won't be a hoe anymore. Or you think that you need to do this to me because I'm out of control and this is a way to get me to behave because I'm out, all of it. Um, yeah, like I do experience a level of resentment, you know. Um, so now we're gonna get into what to do to fix it, you know. Talk to your doctor and they may refer you to a psychologist or psychiatrist. The right solution for resentment depends mainly on its cause and the individual, and the path to healing involves forgiveness and finding a way to make peace with what happened so you can move on with life. Um, which is very interesting because, I mean, I do often say that I understand why everybody did what they did, The situation with school and the assault in school and stuff, like, we were kids. We were teenagers. It was wrong. It was definitely wrong what happened, but how can I be angry at them when they clearly didn't know better? you know, um, I, I guess I need to figure out what the true source of the resentment is because I'm not mad at them. I think I'm mad at everyone else. I'm mad at everyone else that decided to keep talking about it for 20 years. I'm mad at um, the people who decided that I was not worthy of love or relationship based off of rumors. I'm angry at the people who participated in hurting my feelings, for dog walking me, for dogging me out, for treating me like trash, because of rumors. Like, we're adults. We're adults, okay? The shit that y'all know about is from 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So you mean to tell me that for 20 years that I never got a chance to be anything else? You just dubbed me that for the rest of my life. None of you thought to think, oh, maybe this person has grown. Maybe this person has changed. Maybe this person was abused. I mean, you know, but I can't really, I mean, it's not really, like, I don't have a relationship with the people that were gossiping about me, do I? I don't know who you are. I just know that you passed the message on to the person that came to me next. That you all thought it was fun to play hot potato with Ashley. You know, I'm not mad at you. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the people who had a rare opportunity to really see me as I am and think it was fake. Who had the rare opportunity to really feel my love and you threw it away. You didn't even ask me nothing. You let other people rule how you behave. And then you want to prance in here like shit didn't happen. Like it didn't happen. Like you treated me completely right the entire time without any apologies. And the apologies are weak if there are any. Sorry I made you feel that way. You know that's not even the correct way to apologize. Or maybe you don't. Because some of you be kind of emotionally stunted, and that's not always your fault either. But you just prance in here like you didn't do nothing wrong, like you didn't spend any time triggering me, laughing at me, like you act like you didn't do it, and I know that you did. 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 I can't not know. It's really frustrating. I would love to not know. I would love to know that you weren't doing this bullshit, participating with these motherfuckers. Like I would love to be oblivious, but unfortunately, I'm very gifted. So you know, I do have a therapist, so I will talk with my therapist about it. You know, it's kind of funny because maybe the relationships, yes, I said ships. Maybe the ships would have worked if I wasn't resentful, you know, but one can only be resentful. It's clear that they're being triggered by other people's actions, you know? So it is what it is. I feel a new feeling and I get to process it and move on.